The SEC on CBS Game of the Week takes us to Lexington, where it's a battle between cats and dogs. Georgia's won 12 straight against Kentucky. Kentucky has scored 16 points in the last 4 meetings combined. First possession for Kentucky, going for it on 4th and 1 from just outside the red zone. Chris Rodriguez stuffed. Turnover on downs. Next Kentucky possession, 3rd and 12 in the red zone. Will Levis picked off by Keely Ringo, and he takes it back 45 yards the other way. Would lead to another Georgia field goal. Up 9-0 at halftime. Georgia shuts out an opponent in the first half for the 5th time this season, most in FBS. Mid-third quarter, 2nd and goal for Georgia. Kenny McIntosh in for 6. Georgia up 16-0. 7 rushes, 1 pass on the drive. McIntosh finished with a career-high 143 rushing yards and that touchdown. Next Georgia possession, 3rd and 6. Stetson Bennett nearly gets picked off by Jordan Wright, right into the hands of Dominic Blaylock. 35-yard gainer, that close to a pick 6. Would have been tough to grab that, though. Later in the drive, going for it on 4th and goal. Kendall Milton stopped by the Wildcats D. I don't know if he tripped there or what happened. Kentucky has life. Georgia, just the 2nd red zone trip without scoring in 61 chances this season. Ensuing Cats possession. Levis deep to Barry on Brown. 42-yard pickup. Cats in business. Later in the drive, 4th and 3. Levis to Brown. Touchdown. Capping a 99-yard touchdown drive. First 99-yard touchdown drive allowed under Kirby Smart. It's in 7 seasons. Kentucky down 10. Going for 2 to make it a 1-possession game. No. The fade did not work. Kentucky still down 10 with under 10 minutes to play, so they got time. Kentucky 0 for 5 on 2-point conversions this season. First play of the next Kentucky possession. Levis deep to Brown. Go get it, young fella. Right in the basket right there. What a throw. 47-yard gainer. Brown 10 catches, 145 yards, both career highs and a touchdown. Later in the drive, 38-yard field goal. Laces out. Oh, no. Laces out. Got to have it. Got to have it. They didn't. Would have, would have given you some life, but it did not. It was an ugly game, but Georgia prevails 16-6, 11-0 in back-to-back seasons for the first time in school history. Kentucky plus the points, you're getting 22.5. You didn't even need that many. Game goes under the total of 47 and a hook in Lexington. Post-game, Jenny Dell with Kirby and Kenny.
Coach, it wasn't easy and it wasn't pretty. What's your heart rate at right now?
My heart rate's fine. We got a good team. We got a bunch of good players that play hard. We knew it would be this kind of game against them. We talked all week. You're going to get limited possessions because they're going to eat the clock. And they did a great job of that. And we didn't play great red area offense, and we didn't stop people on defense. We let them control the game a little bit with the tempo. But really proud of the way our guys played.
You actually brought this to our attention, but you made some SEC history here. Only the 3rd team in the last 40 years to win back-to-back undefeated play in your conference, back-to-back seasons. When you hear that, what does it mean to you?
Well, it means something for this program because I have immense respect for this league. And when you play in this league and you play on the road and you win 2 years in a row, it shows what kind of character your team has. It's tough. It's hard on the road. So that was the next step. That was kind of the momentum to play this, and now we got to get ready to go play a big rivalry game.
Thank you so much. We're going to talk to Kenny McIntosh right here. All right, Kenny, you eclipsed a 100-yard mark for the first time in your career. What made you so effective today?
Man, I want to give the praise all up to my offensive linemen, being physical, moving guys out the way. We've been preaching that all week, and they came out here and executed. I want to give them all the praise. I thank God for giving me the ability to come out here and trust the holes that my O-lineman is opening up for me. So I give praise to all the God, the Most High, and my O-lineman.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so Georgia earning its 13th straight win against Kentucky, dating back to 2010. And it's their 26th straight regular season win, longest active streak in FBS. And you heard Jenny there mention the 8-0 in SEC play in back-to-back seasons. Georgia becomes the 3rd team ever to do so, joining the 95-96 Gators and the 08-09 Alabama Crimson Tide. Georgia looking to complete a perfect regular season next week when they take on Georgia Tech in clean, old-fashioned hate. All right, let's welcome in SEC on CBS lead analyst and former college and NFL quarterback Gary Danielson, who joins us from Lexington, Kentucky. And Gary, little too close for comfort for Georgia there about that ending. What did Kentucky do to disrupt the Dogs?
Well, mostly I'd say is stop them on short yardage. I think there was 4 of them. I mean, if you're looking at a Georgia football team that really had their way running the ball most of the second half, they couldn't put it away. And that's something that, Kirby will not address that maybe on national television, but I bet it'll be addressed this week when they start practicing, because to win a national championship, you have to keep your defense off the field at the end of those games. You got something in your pocket. You can make it 24-0 with a touchdown on a 2-point play. You got to make it count. Georgia didn't do it. Gave a little life to Kentucky, and finally a couple deep balls, and it's a football game at the end.
Yeah, give credit to Kentucky and Will Levis, who's been banged up, to be able to hang in there, really looking like the better quarterback in this game, Gary.
Well, Will's got a lot of talent. I mean, let's be honest about this. Will is going to be a first-round draft pick. He doesn't have immense talent around him, a little bit of a patchwork offensive line, very young wide receivers, and as Jenny and we talked about most of the game, he's been beat up. But you can still see the peaks of the potential from Will. And in college football, I don't know if you heard during the game, teams that have beat Georgia since 2017, you've got to have an elite quarterback or you're not on the field. You've got to be able to attack this Georgia defense downfield with some deep shots, and Will can do that, and that's why they climbed their way back in the football game.
This is the last time that you will see Georgia before the SEC championship game when you travel to Atlanta for that one. Next week, of course, you're in Alabama as Alabama and Auburn renew pleasantries in the Iron Bowl. When you look at this Georgia team from start to finish here, what will be your takeaway in the regular season of this team as they go into next week to clean old-fashioned hate with Georgia Tech?
Yeah, I would expect that they'll be able to handle their business with Georgia Tech. So now they're going to get into the SEC championship game, play a pretty athletic but maybe not very deep LSU football team. So that'll be the challenge for LSU. Do they have enough guys to keep this game where they could, knock them off the way they did Alabama, with Jaden Daniels making those plays and, Harold Perkins making the plays from the defensive end with some elite players, but they're not as deep as this Georgia team. I think as you watch this Georgia team, their schedule they've played on the road. I mean, they really handled Tennessee, no doubt about that. But, that was at home. You wonder if you can bring a strong passing game to the table. I think that may give. Now, Tennessee couldn't do it. And in that game, they just got overwhelmed. And a lot of that was part of the crowd. I think the challenge for Georgia is, are they good enough in the secondary that they can take on one of these high-flying teams that score a lot of points, like a USC or Ohio State. The challenges will be there, but it's hard to bet against this team. There's so many ways that Georgia can move the ball with the tight ends, with Stetson's feet, with the running game. They got a lot of ways to beat you. Maybe not quite as powerful on defense, but still good enough to win a championship. Sometimes you got to win ugly, and that's what Georgia does on this day, and that's now 26 straight regular season wins, the longest active streak in the nation. Gary Danielson joining us here on CBS Sports HQ. Gary, thanks. Appreciate the conversation as always. All right, my pleasure. We will see Gary next week. You got it. One of the greatest rivalries in all of sports, Alabama and Auburn clashing in the Iron Bowl, a rivalry that dates back to 1893. The games are wild, including last season's game. Just over a minute to play, Bryce Young, Tide drove 97 yards to score the game-tying touchdown, forcing the first overtime game in Iron Bowl history. Alabama went on to win in 4 overtimes. Next week, we've got the 87th edition of the Iron Bowl on CBS. All right, let's get some more reaction here. Georgia and Kentucky as the Dogs go on the road and survive against the Cats. Welcoming 2-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden, CBS Sports HQ college football analyst Barrett Sallee. And Barrett, we talked about this game on Friday and how perhaps Georgia would look to pull away down the stretch. They did not do that. What was your concern here in terms of the offense for Georgia? Because they really never got things going.
No, they didn't. I think really it's just empty possessions. Well, not necessarily empty possessions. They just didn't cash in 6 when they needed to. You go back and look in the first half, 3 field goals. Really a Georgia team with that killer instinct would not have let that happen. They would have pulled away. This game would have been much different had they converted probably just one of those opportunities into a touchdown. And then late in the game, I think defensively they were worn out a little bit. Gary mentioned it last segment that, they just couldn't get off the field. And as a result, you saw Will Levis and Berrien Brown sort of take control in the fourth quarter and give Kentucky a chance. But I think this whole thing traces back to the first quarter. Georgia's offense, specifically the ground game, just couldn't get it going when it mattered most. And as a result, this game was a lot closer than it should have been.
Yeah, Barrett, I agree with you. Offensively, when you look at Georgia so far this season, in the red zone, they have become extremely efficient, not just settling for field goals, but putting touchdowns on the scoreboard. We didn't see that same efficiency today, and hats off to Kentucky's defense, forcing Georgia to settle for field goals. And then when you look at defensively for Georgia, remember, this same Kentucky team offensively, they surrendered, 4 sacks to Vanderbilt. Today, they did a real good job in keeping their quarterback, Will Levis, clean for the most part, making sure he was comfortable. And that's why we saw some explosion-like plays coming from the arm of Will Levis in the second half. I didn't see the type of ball game I thought I would see from Georgia based on what they've done so far this season, especially playing against another SEC opponent. But they had just what it took to be able to win this ball game. Granted, they didn't win by style points, but most importantly, they won.
BMAC, does it put any doubt in your mind about Georgia being able to put away teams because of this result? Does it change your mind at all?
No, sir. No, sir. I still believe they're the best team in college football. They had it was an ugly game, but they still won by double digits, right? It wasn't like it was a nail biter. They won by 1 point, 2 point, 3 points. They still won by double digits. And I understand they didn't cover that huge spread, but playing on the road in November football in the SEC, it's tough. It's very, very difficult. And let's keep it real. Granted, this Kentucky team has been a disappointment to say the least, but they still have talent. This is a team that still can play real good football, and they have an NFL-like quarterback as well. So hats off to Kentucky making this thing interesting. But yes, I still believe Georgia's the best team in college football, even though they didn't showcase the best performance in today's matchup.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a C-plus level game for Georgia. Might not even be that high. We'll figure it out when I post grades later this on Sunday morning. But look, this is college. Maybe we get spoiled a little bit. Like 2019 LSU might have been one of the greatest teams of all time. Things came easy for the 2020 Alabama Crimson Tide. Look, Georgia found a way to win in November. Ohio State's getting a tough game from Maryland. We saw what happened with Michigan and TCU earlier in the day. It's hard to win college football games. It's especially hard when you're playing teams that just want to cut your knees out in November because it's essentially their Super Bowl. So, yeah, is Georgia the best team in the country? Yes. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind about that. Are they like that 2019 LSU team and 2020 Alabama teams? No, they're not. They're still the number one team in the country, and they should be.
Well, defense wins championships, and defense won a championship last season. All right, time now for the SEC on CBS Player of the Game presented by Belfour. BMAC, I'll start with you. Who is your player of the game in this one there in Lexington?
I got to give some love to Broward County native Kenny McIntosh.
Okay.
Star running back for University of Georgia. You talk about playing against this type of defense from Kentucky. I mean, he shredded them left and right. 19 carries for 143 yards, average over 7 yards per carry, and a big-time touchdown. Kenny McIntosh was in his bag today. They needed every yard he was able to provide his offense, and because of that, he is my player of the game.
Yeah, Broward County, my guy too, Kenny McIntosh. I don't think there's any doubt. That touchdown run he had in the third quarter, that was a must-score opportunity. The 3 field goals in the first half, it just felt like this offense was bland. That second drive of the second half, Kenny McIntosh basically took the game and said, no, this is my game, y'all. I'm taking it over. And really all year long, I've called Kenny McIntosh this year's version of James Cook. He had 19 yards as a receiver out of the backfield, too. He's ultra versatile, but he can also take over a game when he's asked to. And in that second half, especially that third quarter, he was asked to do it, and he came through with flying colors.
Indeed, he did, and that was part of the reason why Georgia won this game. His game up over 100 yards and the touchdown as Georgia wins its 26th straight regular season game the longest active streak in the nation. They'll try to make it 27 next week when they take on their rivals in the state of Georgia, Georgia Tech, in some clean, old-fashioned hate. I love you guys, though, all the time. B-Mac, Barrett Sallee here on CBS Sports HQ. Men, thank you.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.